Hi, this is Pastor Jan Garza from Burlington Spring Grove United Methodist Church, bringing you a midweek message. For the last 2.5, 3 months, we have all been very concerned for our safety against COVID 19. We have sheltered in place, we have quarantined ourselves, isolated ourselves, practiced physical distancing if we have to go into a store, wearing a mask, being 6 feet away from everybody. We've done everything we could to protect ourselves and to be safe. Unfortunately, this last week we have been reminded of a situation that is not new. It's not new to us, it's not new to the country, it's not new to the world. That is a whole race of people who are trying to stay safe. And it's not as easy as wearing a mask. It's not as easy as staying 6 feet away from each other. These people have to fear for their safety purely because of the color of their skin. Now, the Bible has always encouraged us not to do that, not to discriminate. Romans 10, verse 12. For there is no distinction between Jew and Greek. The same Lord is Lord of all and is generous to all who call on him. And in Mark 12, verse 31, as they're saying several things that are very, very, very important, it adds, and the second is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. Now, God didn't say, love your white neighbor as yourself. Love your, it's hard to do anything else. It doesn't just say, only love those who are the same race, the same color of skin, go to the same church, work at the same job. None of that. God says, love your neighbor as yourself. That's everyone, absolutely everyone. Now, many years ago when my kids were little, somebody, I don't know if they ever even caught who, they burned KKK into the grass at the Fort Madison High School football track. It was really horrifying to think that in little town Fort Madison that people would actually do that. And at that time, the First United Methodist Church, who were predominantly white, and the Second Baptist Church, who were predominantly black, decided to meet together and have dialogue and try to figure out a way to help race relations in our town and to make a statement that discrimination was not a Christian way of life. And one day when we met, I said, well, okay, I don't want to offend anybody, and I've wondered, how do you want to be described? And Marge, a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful woman that I've known for a long time, and she just looked at me. Now, granted, this was 30 years ago, and she was already elderly at that time. She says, I was born a Negro, so I guess I'm still a Negro. And Tony, a member of their church, he said, well, I want to be called African American. And Harold Davis, the minister of that church, with a little wry smile on his face, said, Jan, I want to be called Harold. I have never forgotten that. That has stuck with me my entire life, because I think the message that Harold was telling me is, why do you need to have a descriptive word? Why do you need to say, do you want me to call you colored or African American or black or Hispanic or Asian or whatever? Why? Why define someone by the color of their skin? He said, my name is Harold. That's all you need to know. And I have really, really, really tried to keep that in my heart. Now, I, of course, am what used to be referred to as WASP, WASP, White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. I never experienced discrimination. I never had fear in my heart when I was out and about. A little way of learning that happened for me when I was down in Arkansas in a little town visiting my little sister. And I ran out of money, didn't have any traveler's checks. So she said, well, just go down to the corner grocery store, write them a check, they'll give you the cash. So, okay, they don't even know me. Doesn't matter. That's how it is. Okay, fine. Went down, showed the clerk that I was writing a check for $100, and she said, no problem. She, put out 5 20s. She had it in her hand, getting ready to hand it to me when I gave her my check. She glanced at it and immediately pulled the cash back and got a weird, frightened look on her face. I thought, what just happened here? And she says, excuse me a minute, I need to get my manager. Okay, so the manager came, looked at me, looked at my check, and he goes, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to honor this. I said, that's fine. I said, I was surprised when my sister said you would because you don't know me, but thanks anyway. And the manager said, well, who's your sister? And I said, well, Cindy Campbell, she lives right down the street. And he goes, oh, sure. I mean, they knew Cindy. They respected Cindy. And so they said, well, if you're her sister, sure, we'll do it. Got my $100, went back to my little sister's house. When I told her about it, she says, oh, man, I didn't even think about it. See, I had recently been married to my husband, Vincent Garza. You see where this is going? She said, does your check have Garza on it? And I said, well, yeah. And she said, that's why. It's a Hispanic name, and that just, there's a lot of prejudice down here. Wow. Now, that hurt my feelings. This much. It didn't make me feel unsafe. It didn't put my life at risk, but it hurt my feelings. So how can that compare at all to people who have to worry about stuff all the time? We don't think about it because, guess what? Doesn't affect us. We need to think about it. We need to realize what some people go through and what we can do to help that, to stop that, to stand up against that. Now, many of you have been watching things on Facebook, and a few of them have just really, really, really hit me. For example, there's one picture of a little black boy, 3 or 4 years old, as my grandma would say, cute in a button. And the post at the bottom said, at what age does this person quit being cute and start becoming a threat? Wow. And I've also heard about parents sitting their black sons down for the talk. Now, for most of us, we know what the talk was. This is totally different. These are parents telling their young black sons, this is how you need to act in public to prevent a problem, to save your own lives. This is how you act when you're amongst white people. This is how you act when you're in a crowd. This is how you react when you're stopped by the police. This is how you react when you're accused of something just because of the color of your skin. Oh my God, how horrible is that? That's the way people have to live. And another post on Facebook where it shows a little white boy hugging a little black boy, and the post said, we're not born bigoted. It's something that we're taught. How true is that? It's not natural to be bigoted. It's not natural to discriminate. We aren't born that way. Unfortunately, we're taught. It's up to us to teach our children differently, to help teach all children differently. God created each one of us the same equally. As Christians, I implore you to stand up to what's wrong, to stand up for all bigotry, to support anyone who is being discriminated against, to stand up for people who are not guilty of anything. Stand up for the police officers who treat everyone equally, and that's the majority of them. Stand up when you see someone being mean to another person. Stand up to bullies. Stand up to anyone who is misjudging someone for any reason. But in today's society, especially those who are being misjudged because of the color of their skin. God created all of us. We shouldn't question his judgment. We shouldn't question his work, his creation. We should love it. We should love each and every person because God loves each and every person. So as humans, as Christians, please show God's love to all. I look forward to talking to you again on Sunday for worship service. And until then, please remember who you are. You are a child of Christ, and I beg you to treat everyone as a child of Christ. Amen.